verse it states that the that all the materials, that all material things, minerals, vegetable substance, all type of things you find on earth is found in the atmospherian worlds. So here lies the material for making the heavenly kingdoms in heaven by the angels. Because remember, these materials are tangible to the angels of heaven. And these substances that rise out of the earth into the atmosphere are manipulated by the angels to build heavenly homes, cities, and communities, just as we on earth manipulate the materials of iron and steel to build on earth. So do the angels in the atmosphere and in the atmospherian worlds. And keep in mind, these worlds are conjoined with the earth. And the proof of this, if we go to the book of Ben, plate 42, it states, when Jehovah condensed the earth and it became firm and crusted over, there rose up from the earth heat and moisture, which continue to this day. But Jehovah limited the ascent of the substance going upward, and the boundary of the limit of moisture was as the clouds that float in the air, and the heat was of like ascent. Jehovah said, let this be a sign also that even as there rise up from the earth heat and moisture, there are representatives of all things on the earth which have evaporated upward, and all such things rise up to a level of the density like unto themselves, everyone to its own level, and they take their places in the strata of the vortex. These are called plateaus or ciphers or spheres, for they surround the whole earth. Some of them are 10 miles high, some 1,000, some 100,000 or more miles. And all these spheres that rotate and travel with the earth are called atmospherea or lower heavens. So in this verse it states that all things on the earth evaporates into the atmosphere to its own plateau, and that the atmosphere is called the lower heavens. So the word heaven is another word for the atmosphere. Now just as the corporeal man or the physical man live on earth, so does the spirit of man live in the atmosphere of the earth after death. So now, in proof of this, in the book of Jehovah chapter 4 verses 9 through 11 it states, as I cause water to rise upward as vapor and take a place in the air above, let it be a sign and testimony of other places in atmospherea whereon dwell the spirits of the lower heaven. Verse 10. As I made a limit to the ascent of the clouds, so made I a limit to the places of the different kinds of substances within the atmosphere, the more subtile and potent to the extreme, and the more dense and impotent near to the earth. Verse 11. According to the condition of these different plateaus in atmospherea, whether they be near the earth or high above, so shall the spirit of man take his place in the first heaven. According to his diet and desire and behavior, so shall he dwell in spirit on the plateau to which he hath adapted himself during his earth life. So now, in verse 9, it states that as water rises to a certain point in the atmosphere, so dwell the spirit of man. So after the physical death, the spirit rises to a certain plateau in the atmosphere. And in verse 10 it stated that the impure areas of the atmosphere are near the earth, and the pure areas of atmosphere is high above the earth's surface. And these highs and lows have to deal with the hellish regions and the paradise regions within the atmosphere or lower heaven. And in verse 11 it stated that the spirit of man rises after death to different plateaus in the atmosphere, according to his diet and desire in his earth life. So these heavens are made up of impure realms and pure realms, and the spirits of humans are placed in these regions of the atmosphere near the earth or high in the atmosphere after death. And in the book of Judgment chapter 12 verse 6 it states, I people the heavens of the earth with the spirits of the dead. According to their grade in their corporeal lives, so do I arrange them. So in this verse it states that the spirits of heaven are those who die on earth and are arranged and graded according to their earth lives. So all people are graded, and depending on your grade is where you will be placed in the different plateaus in atmospherea or heaven after you leave this physical earth. And I have a series on this topic called The Grades of Humans and Angels. So stay tuned for that. Now we're going to move into the first heavenly plateau within the atmosphere. Now in the book of Fragapati, son of Jehovah, chapter 6, verse 20, it states, after this, Fragapati descended to the next plateau, the first grade plateau above the earth, called Aowasu, signifying land and sky world. For the first spirit life after mortal death, Aowasu hath its foundation on the earth, and it is undiluted with mountains and valleys like the earth, having seas over the corporeal seas, and the outer superfice of Aowasu is from 20 to 100 miles above the earth's surface, and it is inhabited within and without after the manner of all spirit worlds. But the first resurrections were within it and on the earth's surface, and the second resurrection mostly on its superfice, although all atmospherian plateaus are also made for the second and third resurrection. So in this verse it states that the first grade plateau of heaven for the spirits of the dead is a reflection of the earth, having seas and lands like the earth, but above in the atmospherian worlds, and is 20 to 100 miles above the earth's surface. And notice how it states that this is the first grade. So grade 1 starts on the earth and above the earth to a certain plateau of about 20 to 100 miles high. Then starts the next grade in that plateau. And if you notice, it mentioned the second and third resurrection, or heaven. And these heavenly plateaus are 3 in all: the first, second, and third heaven. And all these plateaus are arranged and prepared for the spirits of humans after death. And it is arranged by the grades from 1 to 99, 1 being the lowest atmospherian grade of the spirits, which starts on Earth's surface, and then you have 99 being the highest atmospherian grade of spirits, which lies high above the Earth's surface. And I'm going to explain this in more details in a series called The Grades of Humans and Angels. So stay tuned for that. Now we're going to move into the Etherian worlds. Now in the book of Jehovah, chapter 2, verses 5 through 7, it states, for the substance of my Etherian worlds I created Eth, the most rarefied. Out of Eth made I them, and I made Eth the most subtile of all created things. And I gave to it power and place, not only by itself, but also power to penetrate and exist within all things, even in the midst of the corporeal worlds. And to Eth gave I dominion over both atmospherea and corpor. Verse 6. In the all highest places created I the Etherian worlds, and I fashioned them of all shapes and sizes, similar to my corporeal worlds. But I made the Etherian worlds inhabited both within and without, with entrance and exit, in arches and curves, thousands of miles high and wide. And overruled I them with all perfect machinism, and in color and movable chisms, and mountains in endless change and brilliance. To them gave I motion, and orbits and courses of their own. Independent made I them, and above all other worlds in potency and majesty. Verse 7. Neither created I one Etherian world like another in size or density, or in component parts, but every one differing from another, and within a glory matchless each in its way. So now, in these verses, it states that Eth is the substance that makes the Etherian worlds, and Eth is the most subtile of all created things, the most rarefied substance, and that the Etherian worlds have dominion over the atmospherian worlds and the corporeal worlds, which are the planets. And the ETHEREAN worlds are the all highest places. These are the glorious places for the spirits of humans after leaving the boundaries of the earth and its atmosphere. And in the book of Sephah, in the basis of Vedi, verse 65, it states, Etherea, beyond the earth's atmosphere, that part of the firmament beyond the earth and the earth's atmosphere, which hath laws of its own. Etherea, the higher